Okay, well, welcome to the first Brady Bunch edition of a Facebook Live event with the Chamber of Commerce. Most of you are used to watching these events that we hold in person at various businesses, but we're doing the ultimate in social distancing today and having our panelists join us from their work sites. So we have Matt Rectors with Senator Grassley's office. Welcome, Matt. And City Administrator Aaron Burnett from the City of Mason City. Crystal Percy from Iowa Works. And Tim Putnam with the Papa John Center. And he is also representing the Small Business Development Center, which is operates in conjunction with the Papa John Center. So thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. We've received several questions from businesses, and our plan is to go through them, but then also to have people be able to ask their questions as they occur to them. Our role at the Chamber in times like this is really to connect our members to resources, and that's what we're hoping to do today. So Crystal, I think we'll start with you because we're getting so many questions having to do with Iowa Works and with employees that are off work right now due to school shutdowns, and with the FFCRA not coming into play until April 2nd. Can you bring us up to speed a little bit on what employers and employees should do?
So at this point in time, there's a lot of changes that are going on, and it's really staying up to date every hour with us. A lot of the requirements and regulations that pertain to unemployment insurance have been modified a little bit during this situation because of COVID-19. So we understand with the school closings, the social distancing, this is putting a strain on our workforce and making it a position where nobody can go to work because they don't have childcare and things like that. So one of the things that we are doing is, one of the requirements for unemployment insurance used to be you had to be ready, available, and willing to go to work. We are waiving that at this point in time. So if you have anything connected to COVID-19, whether it's childcare, whether it's you need self-isolation, your doctor says you're at high risk, and you need to be at home, asthma, things like that, you do not have to be able to go into work. If it's connected to COVID-19, you are eligible for unemployment insurance at this point in time. The other thing that is also going on is we are not charging the employer accounts. So I know the big question is what is going to happen when the funds run out. Legislation, both states and federal, are constantly working on this right now. So just stay up to date. Iowa Workforce Development's website is going to be the most accurate information. They are working diligently to keep all of the information on there.
And are you, and this might be more of a legal question, but Governor Reynolds has asked that employees who travel outside of the state isolate for 14 days upon their return. And so that would be work-related travel. If employees elect to travel outside of the state as vacation, can employers require them to use PTO to cover this isolation period instead of paying out their benefits under the FFCRA?
Yes, they can. So obviously with this situation, we want to try to contain it the best that we can. So the self-isolation is not a requirement. It's just highly encouraged at this point in time. But we do see that crossing state lines, whether domestic or international, is causing this to spread. So we would ask that if you do leave business or personal, that you do self-isolate, whether you can work remotely from home. If you work for an employer that is able to accommodate that, we would strongly encourage that. If it's something that they cannot work, we would ask that they could use their PTO, their sick time, or vacation time. They would also be eligible for unemployment insurance after that is exhausted with the connection to COVID-19.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll move on to Tim Putnam. as we've been making calls to our chamber members, many of them are reluctant to take on more debt. They're trying to get through the short term. What advice do you have for them?
Thanks for the question, Robin. I think first of all, we all have to really put this in perspective. We all need to, work from home so we can really knock down this virus and get beyond it. In the meantime, how do businesses succeed and get through this period of time? It's going to be tough for everybody. Whether they take on debt or not, really is a question of what are they going to use that debt for? If they're taking on debt to pay debt, then obviously that's not a good decision. Our first recommendation is really to try to understand your financial position. Get with your banker and get with your CPA. If you've been a client of ours, contact us as well and really understand what the cash is going to be used for. If it can add to productivity, if it can add to increased capacity, then those are good reasons to bring on debt. But use debt to pay debt is not a good idea. That being considered, this could be the only option you do have. So, we would encourage you, if you think this is at all a potential, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. If it's a couple of weeks, I think we can all get back to business as normal, but we just don't know. We'd encourage you to go ahead and start the application and complete it, because it's not a simple application. It's not a click a couple of boxes. You have to have your last 3 years of federal tax returns. You have to have last 3 years of personal federal tax returns, personal financial statements. You have to get your articles of incorporation and have a business plan with financial projections. I'm not sure if they're waiving all that. As we speak, there is another conference call going on with SBA on how to complete the application. So Brooke Bemler and people from our office is listening to that to see if there's any changes in that. But again, bringing on debt to pay debt is not a good thing to do. The key is, really looking at your cash position. Cash is king here. So really look at your cash and your credit. Contact your bankers that they may be able to do a full forbearance or do interest only. Talk to if you lease or rent your building, talk to your landlord, see if you can delay the payments on that. Check your recurring membership fees. There may be some things you can turn off and not pay that. Anything you do to reserve cash is great. The last thing any owner wants to do is to have to put employees on unemployment, but that may be something you have to do. As you heard Crystal talk, the state has put some favorable policies in place, to help protect the employees and the employers in this situation. So, really give that a consideration. Think outside the box. Your loyal customers, contact them. Anything you can do to get cash in your business is absolutely key. You may have to discount some inventory to move that. Inventory sitting in your store is doing you no good at this time. So anything you can do to contact similar customers to maybe purchase a few things that they may not need, especially if they're consumables, out there. Tomorrow the Papa John Center will be doing a marketing workshop for online. And if you do not have a strong online presence, tune in tomorrow, go to the Nyack Papa John Center website or a Facebook account and get the links to that. Really take this time to educate yourself, because your customers need to know what's going on in your business. They want to support you. So your communication is absolutely essential. So I'll stop with that, Robin. Thanks for the question.
Well, and we've certainly learned through this process that technology really is our lifeline. So I think that marketing seminar is very timely. Matt, I'd like to turn to you now, and can you provide an update for us on what's going on in Washington, D.C. and getting that phase 3 relief package passed so that the people who really need it can have access?
Sure. Well, Senator Grassley, being chair of the Finance Committee, has been leading the negotiations on this phase 3 relief bill. And As of right now, I can't really give any details as far as what is in this final deal because they haven't necessarily agreed on it yet. They haven't scheduled a vote. There was a vote on Sunday, and there was enough disagreement that it didn't pass, and so they are still trying to hammer out an agreement that can get the 60 votes that are needed in the Senate. And then we're assuming with that bipartisan bill in the Senate would easily pass the House then too. But I can say at least what we know, the nuts and bolts that were in the bill that was voted on Sunday are still in the bill that's being worked on currently. And that includes loans for businesses, relief for small businesses, individual taxpayer relief, which does not have what they call a phase in on a dollar amount for income. So that does go to senior citizens, those people on disability, lower income people below the poverty line would still, if they've filed for taxes or if there's a tax record that goes back, would still qualify for that kind of relief package there. And then a huge chunk of money that would go into like SBA and for helping to stabilize and provide operating loans towards businesses too. And there also is a section in there for helping with unemployment insurance too, and for a temporary unemployment benefit that would be during this pandemic as well. So that kind of goes into a little bit of what Crystal said. But unfortunately, those are things that have been in the package that was voted previously and are still in it as of right now, but we don't have a final agreement on what the numbers are and how much and things like that.
Well, and I think it's important for our viewers to know that about 68 million people are employed by large employers, and around a little less than 60 million are employed by small employers. And so honestly, getting some assistance to everyone is really important to keep people working. So,
yep. And there's definitely a focus on trying to hit everybody so this can touch everybody in some way, and with the individual payments, and then all businesses of all different sizes, and even forgivable. And I can't say what for sure is going to be in the bill, but what has been talked about is even forgivable loans for those businesses who don't lay off their workers during this period of time too. So a lot of things trying to keep businesses, especially the businesses that are 500 employees and under, and really trying to get them support to keep them going, because that is the lifeblood.
It really is. Aaron, let's turn to you. Can you update us on things that are happening within the city of Mason City and the essential services that you're providing and the plans that you're making to help keep our community running?
Absolutely. So fortunately, we've been working with the public health and all of the other partners within the community, including the chamber and the corridor and so many other folks, to try and get a really complete picture and what we need to do on the city side to be an asset to the community beyond just providing our essential services. So we've been working at this for quite a few weeks now, knowing that we were likely to deal with the pandemic. Obviously, this has been a dramatic situation. I think that nobody could have foreseen how far-reaching the impacts would be. But fortunately, we were planning ahead of time. We've been slowly taking those steps to prepare departments. At this point, we're doing what a lot of businesses are doing, what a lot of entities are doing. We're working on social distancing, working on getting staff out of the offices to try and reduce impact on our staff. Many of the departments the city provides are considered, quote, essential services. When you think about water, wastewater, law enforcement, fire, EMS, sanitation, down to O&M, making sure that our streets are passable, making sure that we have inspections so that businesses can continue to operate. All of these things are really important to making sure that the community continues to function. So we've taken a very serious approach about that, trying to make sure that our staff stays as healthy as possible. Obviously, we're going to see the same impacts that the other organizations and other businesses see. But I think communicating into our workforce the importance of keeping them healthy, the importance of keeping them away from their coworkers as much as possible, so that if we do have one portion of the city workforce get sick, that we don't see that widespread within our departments. So that's really been what we've been doing leading up to this. We're also working on various contingencies, obviously understanding that we're going to see huge absenteeism in departments. If this does go to the level that it's being forecast, then we need to understand how we can operate EMS and law enforcement with large reductions in workforce. With that in mind, we've been communicating with those departments. I think we have plans in place. We've been focusing on how to disinfect and keep folks healthy. If we do have issues where we're seeing, for instance, like at fire, if we're seeing a large number of people getting sick, then we'll actually distance to a different facility to try and keep a certain group of individuals at least healthy during that time frame. But it's trying to look at all those different contingencies and understand that we're likely to see far-reaching impacts, and making sure that we're ready for those and that we can execute on those plans when those situations occur.
Okay, thank you. We did receive some information from Public Health just prior to going live, since they were unable to join us. And one of the questions that they wanted to answer was for employees who are sent home due to showing signs of illness, they might have a cough, a fever, etc. How long should they stay home and isolate from others in their home? The answer to that is they should stay home until they've had no sign of fever for at least 3 full days, and that's without the use of fever-reducing medication, and their other symptoms have improved. So if they have a cough or shortness of the breath, that's improved. So at a minimum, when people have been sent home or are staying home, they should stay home for 3 full days. We also received from a viewer a technical question that is for you, Crystal, although Matt, you might be aware of this too. What about independent contractors? Are there any unemployment options for independent contractors?
At this
In the legislation, I'll just chime in quick. In the legislation that's being proposed, there would be availability of funding for unemployment insurance for independent contractors under that COVID virus unemployment benefit package. But again, we have to wait and see what actually gets passed.
Okay, so Crystal, at this point, is that a no?
At this point in time, it would have to come down from the federal level. If DUA was enacted, which is disaster unemployment assistance, there would be some possibilities for that. But at this time, we do not have anything that says it's going to happen or not going to happen.
Crystal, maybe answer that from a entrepreneur, a business owner perspective. Who would qualify for that as a business owner?
So that would be any, that could affect our agriculture, any of the 1099s, any of the self-employed. So any of the entrepreneurs, if DUA is enacted, it would cover them. They would go through the application process like they're filing for unemployment. And then when the unemployment was denied because there was no wages reported for them, they would then start submitting W-2s and proving their gross income and their revenue so that we would be able to figure out what we could offer them.
Excuse me. Crystal, this is for you as well. Will the voluntary shared work program be an option for businesses during the pandemic? And if so, has the program changed due to the pandemic?
I'm very glad you asked that. That is actually a program that has always been available, and it actually is probably the best option for employers to look at this point in time. Unemployment insurance is another option, but it's going to give the employees a lot less pay than what the voluntary share work program is. And a voluntary share work program, basically what you're doing is you're going to take a group of your employees, their hours are going to be reduced. So maybe they go from working 40 hours down to 20 hours. And then we would look at the other 20 hours that they're missing out on, and they would receive benefits because of that. So it's similar to a partial unemployment, but it's actually figured based on hours as opposed to the wages like the unemployment side is. So it's a great way to be able to get your employees as close. They're not going to make exactly what they were making working their normal 40-hour work week, but it is a great opportunity for your employees to get as close to their normal income as possible. And I am available for questions on that as well. If any employers need anything, there's an application online. IowaWorkforceDevelopment.gov has all of the information for the Voluntary Share Work Program. There's also question and answers for both the job seekers and the employers on there. And I can tell you they're constantly updating that website with information.
Great. And while you are providing resources, we know you're processing an unprecedented number of claims. What can businesses and individuals do to help streamline that process?
So at this point in time, we are allowing claims to be done over the phone and online because of the fact that we know not everybody has computers. We're also respecting the social distancing where our offices are not open to the general public at this point in time either. So we are able to go online, file the claim at IowaWorkforceDevelopment.gov, or have their employee call the 866 number if they don't feel comfortable. A lot of people just want to talk to us. A lot of people want to hear that customer service and know that, yes, your claim did in fact go through. So if that's the comfort level for your employees, please have them call 866-239-0843, and we would love to help you. I will warn you, our software is doing the best that it's could. Our site has gone down, so if you're receiving error messages, if you're not receiving a confirmation number, employers, please make sure that when they open an initial claim, when they're done with it, they receive a confirmation number. When they file a weekly claim, because all unemployment is two parts, you open an initial claim. When that is complete, you get a confirmation number. And then the next week on Sunday or Monday, you file your weekly claim. And when you're done with that, it also gives you a confirmation number. So we want to be sure, because there have been some glitches. Our IT is working very diligently to keep us live and keep us as fast as we possibly can, but obviously technology is being affected by this with everybody working from home and everything that's going on. So we're working the best we can. We've pulled staff to man the 866 line in order to help get our claims processed. What used to take 3 weeks to get paid, we're getting out to them in 7 to 10 days, and actually a lot of them are going even quicker than that. We know that having income to our families is important, and we're doing everything we can to help our Iowans as best we can.
Okay. Thank you. Another question that we have, and I'm not sure if this is for Matt or for Aaron or for whoever, but right now, all of the states seem to have different definitions of essential workers. I know the Department of Homeland Security has issued a definition. Is there any action going on to try and standardize this? You know, in Iowa, our labor shed extends into Minnesota, which makes it a little more complicated. Have either of you heard anything about trying to standardize some of these rules and regulations or guidelines?
I haven't heard anything at this point, apart from what's come down from Homeland Security. I know agriculture has been designated in that category. So, but I haven't heard anything else about that or any other specific guidance from them on that yet.
This time, the governor has not mandated anything. We just ask that everybody take care of themselves. If they're high risk, please consider self-isolating. If you're traveling, please consider everybody else. Wash your hands. You know, we're not at a point that we feel we need to go on complete isolation and close everything down. We hope that everybody is maintaining their health, drinking lots of fluids, washing their hands and taking the best care of themselves, limiting who they're interacting with, you know, keeping the social distance. So at this point in time, there's nothing that says that. It's just highly encouraged, take care of each other and help out any way we can.
I'll just chime in here. You know, this exercise of trying to figure out who's essential and who's non-essential can be very difficult depending on what situation you're dealing with. I mean, right now, I think we'd say, you know, the grocery store is staying stocked or essential. You know, we'd say that a lot of these, you know, basic services that you wouldn't necessarily think of as essential are actually essential at this point, of making sure that we get those needs of the community met by the businesses that are providing those goods that are so essential to just carrying on life within North Iowa. So I will say those definitions, I think that, you know, there's been, like you said, there's been quite a few different definitions. It'd be helpful if there was a little bit more uniformity, I think, in those. And I think there has been a request from various, at least city organizations, to try and find, I guess, a common ground so that we can communicate those better from the local level. But the flip side is it's not really one size fits all in many situations. You know, what we're dealing with here in North Iowa is a little bit different than maybe you're seeing on the East Coast or a place where it really is a little bit further along in the pandemic. So we obviously want to take as many precautions as possible, but we're trying to keep as many of the services functional as possible for as long as possible until we really have to get to that point where there is a shutdown order from the state or federal government.
Thank you. So I'd just like to go around and give everybody an opportunity for some parting thoughts. Matt, let's start with you.
Okay, sure. I guess I would say is just keep aware of what's going on in your local sphere of influence with your family, your friends. Check on them over the phone, give them a call, use Zoom or something where you can see each other and check in, see how they're doing. I know personally for myself, I called my grandparents and some other older people in my community and said, hey, if you need something, I'm going to be going into town. In order for you to be able to not have to go out, I can pick something up for you. So just trying to do that kind of Iowa Nice neighborly thing right there. And then also just pay attention to what Governor Reynolds is coming down with on for guidance and for changes, because it does change on a daily basis. They're watching it very closely. And also then watch on the federal side, because I'm very confident that there will be a relief and an aid package coming out this week. I just don't know exactly when or what the exact specifics in that are going to be. And then I guess on my own side is don't get downhearted. The numbers are going to go up because the testing's finally getting caught up, and we're expecting that to come up. But so I think we'll actually get to be able to see a better picture within a week or two of where we're actually sitting.
Okay, thank you. Crystal?
I would also echo a lot of what Matt said. You know, we're working very hard at the state level. We're also communicating, waiting for things to come down for the federal level. So please, Governor Reynolds is having press conferences on a regular basis. Please, if you have time to watch those, listen, that would be great. If not, go to our website. You're always welcome to call our 8666 number. We're here for you in any way. We are trying the best we can. And you know, everything is changing so rapidly and so quickly. So I just ask, be patient. We're here to help you in any way we can, both employers and job seekers, our community partners. We're all teaming together. And I think on a personal level, take care of your family, take care of your loved ones and your neighbors. Help out any way you can, and just be safe.
Thank you. Tim?
We talked a little bit about the SBA. Governor Reynolds yesterday announced the Iowa Small Business Relief Fund. This is for businesses with 2 to 25 employees. Looks like their website's being overwhelmed right now, but this is going to be important for every small business to apply for. So it can't afford you to get $5,000 to $25,000 in grant funding, but it will also help delay your sales tax and your withholding taxes, along with your unemployment taxes. So that's all helping to add the cash flow and keeping more cash in your pocket. So keep trying that. I'm sure the state is working diligently to get the capacity back up. And I understand it's not a first come, first serve. Applications must be in by noon on the 31st. So again, it's important you get in there. Minimally, you'll be able to withhold your sales tax, withholding tax, and as well as your unemployment, and also qualify for $5,000 to $25,000 in funding. My other recommendation, I heard this from one of our local entrepreneurs, that he's been reaching out, talking to other people within his industry, find out what they're doing. Look across town to those that are in your same industry, whether it's service or retail. Talk to them, see how you can help each other out, how you can share supplies. It's going to take all of us working together to get through this. Our local businesses is what gives us the quality of life, and why we love to live where we do here in North Iowa. So all of us working together is what's going to take, and it may take drastic measures, but talk to people around you, help each other out, and send your non-essential employees home if you at all can. So thank you, Robin, for pulling this together.
Sure, thanks. Aaron?
One of the things I'd just stress is from a community standpoint and looking at the various issues as far as law enforcement and EMS and trying to protect those people who can't not go to work. We really just need as much communication and as much support for the message of public health that we can, and also just work to really try and preserve the community through this pandemic. The reality is it will take, exactly as Matt was saying, neighbor helping neighbor. It'll take that sort of sense of community to help reduce some of the burden that's on the public and nonprofit sectors that are really trying to help support the community as much as possible through a very dire situation. And so really, I mean, it's kind of a fluffy message, but the reality is that we really have to be there for each other in this community, and echoing and not letting rumors and not letting miscommunication or misinformation be out there. We have to spread that word. We have to support each other, and that will help those big things like healthcare and fire and law enforcement and all those things function meaningfully, because those small things at the neighbor level will be taken care of. So that's I think that's the biggest message that I hope people take to heart.
Thanks. Well, great comments, all of you. Thank you all for spending time with us. I know you're all really busy, so we appreciate you taking the time to help get good information out to the public. I'd also like to thank Brine Engineering and Technology for setting this up for us. And for now, stay safe and be well.